Live from Central Kentucky's WCYN studios, you're listening to Quarantainment, a live entertainer's response to COVID-19. Each week, we interview industry professionals from around the world and gain insights into how they're coping with the adverse effects of the coronavirus and creatively adapting to the new normal. Without any further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome to the proverbial stage award-winning illusionist, escape artist, actor, your host, and creator of the Quarantainment podcast. This is Reed Masterson.
Hey guys, what's up? How's it going? Welcome to the first episode of Quarantainment, the socially distant podcast where we interview live entertainment industry professionals from around the world and gain insights into the adverse effects the coronavirus is having on their career and see how they are coping to this new normal, as they like to call it. And this week's guest is the first episode. Is a really good friend of mine, and I'm super excited to have him on for the first episode. If you haven't seen any of that advertisements on Facebook yet already, then you don't know this, but this week's guest is none other than 8-time Guinness World Record holding, internationally known Dutch juggling superstar, Mr. Niels Duinker, really good friend of mine. Super excited to have him on. Let's get him in here. Hey, Niels, buddy, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How's everything in Berlin, Ohio?
Everything is going great. I'm right here in Berlin, Ohio, where my new theater gig is supposed to start. We're supposed to start mid-May. Of course, that's not going to happen. Right now, we don't know when we're going to start. But I'm just working every day. It's great. I can go into the theater. So I'm practicing. I'm going into the office. And it's very quiet. There's no tourists. So social distancing here is not a problem. It's good for the social distancing. Hopefully, soon there will be tourists. So then it will be busy. But right now, I'm not allowed. So it's very quiet here in town.
It's kind of like the positive and then pros and cons of the situation. It's really quiet and you can work on things that you haven't been able to work on because of normal season, normal touristy and stuff. So that's kind of cool. Now you were at, obviously, for those that don't know, you were at the Comedy Barn in Pigeon Forge prior to this, correct?
Yes, for 3 years I was performing at the Comedy Barn Theater, which is a live variety show. I did about 500 shows per year. It's an 800-seat theater, and it's now owned by the Dolly Parton Corporation in Pigeon Forge. And it's a big theater. It's a real fun show. It's about a 2-hour family-friendly show. And I was part of that show for 3 years. And before that, I was doing the cruise ships. So I have my own headliner show as a guest entertainer on board cruise ships. Before that, I was studying mechanical engineering in the Netherlands and doing corporate events and sometimes theme parks in the summer and stuff like that. In a theater restaurant, I worked for 5 years in Rotterdam. So I've been performing for 20 plus years now.
That's crazy. So if you don't mind telling the listeners or the viewers, since this is Facebook Live as well as on the radio, how old are you?
I'm 34.
34, and you've been performing for 20 years.
Yeah, so I started juggling when I was 12. I tried when I was 8, but that was before YouTube, and I didn't have the bright idea to go to the library and just get a juggling book. So it took me 4 years to figure that out. And then some of my friends too, his dad was a hobby juggler. It kind of came together, and then I was juggling for fun. And then when I was 13, I started doing my first show. It was just a local barbecue for some neighbors. And from that, I think I did well because I got another booking. Then I got another booking. And 20 years later, until the coronavirus, I'm still doing shows.
Yeah. Coronavirus. Yeah, there was no planning for that in the 20-year history of Niels Duinker juggling right now. I know.
Yeah, it's the good thing is right now I'm right here. So it's just a matter of when businesses are allowed to open. And then I have a show to do. So, but right now it's just pausing. The entire world is on pause right now. So I'm just waiting, and I'm using this time just to to work on my juggling goals, like technical juggling, on the marketing. There's just so much. Like I will be doing my own show here. So between scripting, lighting, marketing for it, there's so much to learn. There's so much to do. So right now, like I was lucky, like 3 years Comedy Barn, and some of my friends, they were very financially savvy as well. So they helped me. So I'm just, like living on the reserves and just have some side income from some other stuff. So right now, financially, I'm not worried too much. And I'm just using this time just to stay busy, and just when we can open, that show will be better than when this thing didn't hit.
Yeah, no, for sure. How did you so you were at the Comedy Barn, so how did you end up at Amish Country Theater, which is very seems, I mean, I haven't been there obviously, but it seems very similar to the Comedy Barn, the idea of it, a barn comedy show, blah blah blah. How did you get there from the Comedy Barn?
Well, it's funny. There seems to be some link between all tourist towns in the US. So people in Myrtle Beach know people in Pigeon Forge, people in Pigeon Forge know people in Las Vegas, Atlantic City. So like all the show producers, variety acts, entertainers, there's like a link between those things. And the theater owner of this theater, he said like, well, if Comedy Barn ever is silly enough not to renew you, just give me a call. I like what you do. And I think it will be of value for the tourist here and for me. I was like, okay, cool. Just keep it in mind. Never think anything of it. Then Fee Hedrick got bought up by the people connected to the Dolly Parton Corporation, and they're restructuring some stuff. Part of that is that my contract didn't get renewed, but like very grateful for the 3 years that I had there. I had learned so much. And then I had this in my back pocket, gave him a call, and immediately I could start here this season. And I'll be performing in their shows, and I'll be doing my own show as well. So right now, like it's just a change. It's not like my career, luckily. It's just continuing and the same pace, kind of when I was at the Comedy Barn. Now just getting some new opportunities, like doing the full show. So in that sense, everybody won. Like
yeah, for sure. No, that's I mean, that's cool. And I'm super for anybody watching or anybody that's listening. Niels and I are pretty close friends now, and but we've only known each other for a very short time. Like yeah, look at that cup right there. I don't know whose that is. I'm drinking something that I
it's my favorite magician's cup. Magic. It's the M from Magic.
That's right. M for Magic, or Masterson. Either way.
Masterson's Magic.
But I'm super thankful for your 3 years at the. I'm at the Comedy Barn, because if you weren't there, we wouldn't have met. Because
it's great.
Ashton's family. For those of you who don't know Ashton, it's my better half, Ashton Masterson. Her family lives in Tennessee, so that's kind of how we got connected. And that was right at the very end of your contract there. So that was
yeah, it was cool. Like I remember when I just started there, Jessica Jane started speaking very highly about you guys. And then you came to town, and then we started hanging, and we've been hanging ever since.
I know, it's crazy. So outside of the fact that the Amish Country Theater doesn't have an open date yet, outside of that, what else, what are some other negative impacts the coronavirus has taken on not just your career, but you yourself? Maybe like I think I remember something, and I may be wrong, but weren't you planning to go back home to the Netherlands, for a visit, but then you couldn't, or something like that, because of this?
Yeah, so that's because my family's in the Netherlands. I'm here in the US. So this contract, Comedy Barn, went year round. So I was off January, February. It was like slower in town, less tourists. So then the show could keep the profitability by just using a couple less acts. So David Fee, the previous owner, said like, okay, you go home during the down season. It's like, it sounds great. I could see my family and do other stuff. I was playing this year as well. So we did the show together in January in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Then I did some shows with Jason Andrews, a theater tour. And then after that, I was planning to go to the Netherlands. I did. Then I came back here to set up, move to Ohio. And then I want to go back because my sister just gave birth to a boy, so I've not met my
your
nephew.
nephew.
Yeah, not yet. So my mom met him 2 days ago. So I was planning to. I knew, of course, he was going to be born around this time, so I was like, okay, perfect. The shows start mid-May. Gives me the time to prepare everything. Go to the Netherlands for like a week and a half, hang out, and then start the shows here. Do the season, and then in November, when we change from regular shows to Christmas shows, there's a week break as well. So I was planning to go back as well. So hopefully that's gonna happen because then finally meet my family. But like, yeah, meeting my family right now, it's not gonna happen because of the travel ban.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's yeah, it's a crazy world right now. We've lost, the entertainment industry. I mean, the whole world's been hit wrong, and I don't want anybody to think that this is like some kind of a show or a negative show that thinks that everybody else had it easy or something like that, because that's not what all this is about. This is just my idea for Quarantainment, the whole series, the virtual variety show, the podcast, and we have a little mini TV series that we're doing, and then we also have our Zoom Illusion show that we're booking for corporate events and stuff like that. But the whole message behind it is the world needs entertainment more than anything in the world, anything right now. And there's a lot of entertainers that are so negatively affected by this that it's mentally shutting them down. So they're not able to stay creative. They're not able to keep pushing forward because I mean, truthfully, there's nothing to push forward to, because you don't even know what the end of this is. You don't know what the end holds and what the changes will be or whatever. So it's scary to think about, like, what am I even supposed to be doing? I'm doing a podcast. I never thought I'd be doing a podcast. Yeah. I never had any kind of idea. I never wanted to do virtual magic because magic is meant to be seen in person. Same thing with juggling or any kind of live entertainment. I think almost anything is experienced so much better in person. But with magic and juggling and circus arts and stuff like that, it is so much, the experience is so better in person. So
sure.
But there's a lot of people that I believe, from what I've seen online and stuff like that, there's a lot of people that I believe that aren't going to come out of this. And I think maybe this idea of the podcast could, and the virtual shows and stuff like that could bring awareness to, keeping people happy and saying, okay, look, like, this guy's doing a podcast. This guy's stuck in a cabin in the middle of Amish country, and he's working in an office and whatever, and he's doing this. He's, like, they haven't stopped. Their careers are still going, whether their income is still coming in or not. That's regardless. But we didn't start out with income. We didn't start out making money. You didn't start out juggling to make money. I didn't start out doing magic to make money. I loved it, and now it's a business. So it's so scary when you lose that income, because we worked so hard on it. But we've also, over those years, have lost the love and passion and the happiness that just juggling or doing magic or whatever brings you in general. Like, I used to have no problem with showing people magic for free. Like, that was, who cared? I didn't need money, because that's not what it was for. That wasn't the purpose. And now it's like, well, I gotta have money to do magic. So, like, now I don't have money, so can't do magic. Well, that's total bogus, but I think a lot of people are kind of leaning towards that thought process, and it's going to derail their careers, and I don't know if they're going to come out of it.
Sure.
So I think this is a good idea. So I think that's kind of my whole idea behind this kind of series that we're doing, which I thought was a really cool idea. I thought the name Quarantainment, quarantine entertainment, and I did like a Google notifications thing, and for the word Quarantainment. And after we set up everything, our webpage and everything, and now everybody, everywhere, Sean Combs, P. Diddy or whatever, like, what I'm talking about? Like, so, like, he's got a thing he's doing, Quarantainment. I'm like, come on, guys, this was mine. I posted it first, should have trademarked it. But it's cool. It also verifies that it was a good idea, because these other people, like some big name people, are using the idea. So
No, it's a great name.
So, but I don't know that it lasts. I don't know if it holds any future relevance after all this, but it's cool. So I guess one of the questions I had, one of the things I was thinking, I know a lot about you. Obviously, we've hung out and talked and we've done everything, but I know there's a lot of people, even the people, like you mentioned earlier, we did a show together back in January. It was a show that I was producing, show that Ashton and I were producing, called Variety All Stars Live, and we brought you to our hometown, Cynthiana, which is where this is broadcast on the air live, on WCYN. And you did a crazy awesome, like 75-minute show to 2 standing ovations to, like 300 people that had, that have never heard of you, never seen you, and probably 99.99% of those people had never seen a juggler in person. And at that point in time, that night, that was the most amazing thing they'd ever seen. And it was so cool. So, we've hung out, we've done all this stuff. So like, I know you had, I know the Amish country wasn't planned. It was a, like you said, you had it in your back pocket. And it was like, okay, well now my contract's ending. So like, what do I have that I can tap into that I already have access to? But what did you have planned other than like Amish country, other than what you're trying to do now? What did you have in the works that COVID-19 affected or that is just put on pause for now or whatever, prior to COVID-19? What were you working on?
Yeah, so juggling it's pretty broad. Well, I made it pretty broad between the live shows, the juggling workshops that I do. Then I have a YouTube channel. Then I have published 13 books on juggling. I've done my shows in the US and Europe, on board cruise ships. So it's pretty broad. And so it's more like if one area doesn't work, then I just focus on the other areas. So for example, the Comedy Barn allowed me to do shows all the time. It was great. And then in the mornings, I had more free time than I knew what to do with. So then I just amped up the book publishing. Then a couple times with the workshops, like a good increase came up, and then I just amped up that. But like my goal with the juggling since I was maybe 15 years old was to do a headliner juggling show. And all the steps that have been taken have been leading me towards that goal. So first I started doing street shows a lot and on festivals when I was a teenager. So I got to learn how to do like a half-hour juggling show, but it was outside and I wanted to do it inside. So when I was in college, I happened to get this opportunity to work in a theater restaurant in Rotterdam. So there I learned how to work inside, then combine those two experiences. Start doing the cruise ships. So I was like one step closer. It was like a 45-minute show, but it was still like the cruise line brought in the audience. They were just passengers. They didn't come for the juggling show, but they enjoyed it, but they didn't come for it. But I got to learn how to do longer shows in a nice environment. Then I got to work in Pigeon Forge. So there I saw how the dynamics worked with ticket sales, people that actually choose that show, instead of just like, okay, what else is there to do? Like we can go to the buffet or we can see the show or we can do both on the cruise ship. So so now all those puzzle pieces are coming together. So right here, it's actually perfect because I got to do a full-on juggling show, full show, ticket sales. I'm responsible for that. It's a nice theater. So all the elements that I've been working towards for the last 20 years come together. Right now, it's just a bit annoying. I have to hold my horses just a little bit longer, just to keep my patience. So when it's safe and the government says we're allowed to open, then I will have all the puzzle pieces in place, like props that I got built 4 or 5 years ago that I never got to use because there was not enough backstage space at the Comedy Barn. But like all this, like I'm just going through all my stuff. Like yesterday I was backstage, like repacking all my boxes. It was so much. I was like, okay, this thing I didn't use for like 4 years, but like I'm glad I did that. And by the time when I took that investment like 4 or 5 years ago, I knew it was gonna it was going to happen. So it's more like a marathon, not a sprint right now. I feel like I cannot walk a race that fast because of the virus. And that's too, like, I feel so fortunate compared to a lot of other entertainers. Like I mean, it impacted me, but because of all the avenues and the different directions with the juggling, I feel like it's more like a stream of water. I have to turn like this and I will come back to it. It's not like I'm completely stopped, because a lot of stuff, like, it's still me, like my goals are still there. My work passion is still there. It's like, and a lot of stuff, maybe that's something I learned on board the cruise ships too. You have so much free time. You don't know anybody. When you have a notebook and you have your brain and you have your, your vision still there, like even in a room, if there's like, you want to get in shape, just eat less, work out more. You can do push-ups, you can do sit-ups. So even if there's not a gym, maybe it's not ideal, but you can still work towards those goals. So a lot of things is just self-discipline, and it's more difficult if the circumstances are not there, because you really get confronted with yourself. Like, it's like okay, it's my own lack of discipline, it's my own excuses I'm making, that's all. And that voice, it's so much more difficult, like to stay on path when it's so quiet and you just hear your own voice, and your own voice done it. But like, it's still like, okay, it's an internal thing. Like, it's not like the virus or good economy, bad economy, agencies maybe are good to you, not good to you, people, like, so much. Those are all external things. And then if you get upset, if you get sad about it, that's all on the way. I feel like you have your external things, then your own character is the filter, and then how you feel internally, that's what really matters. So it could be like, if the external world is very favorable, or like it's very tough at that moment, but you have good filters, you have a good character, you have trained your brain to deal well with it, then you can still feel happy, although the situation is very, very crappy. So like, I was reading this book, or like about Nelson Mandela. I was like, he was stuck for years and years and years in this prison, and he was still like the leader, and he was still, productive, and he changed the world outside of his prison cell. I'm like, wow, if he can do that, just in an empty room, then his character is just so strong, and his mind is so strong. It's like, okay, it's just like, it could be totally falling to pieces, but like, if my brain is strong and my work ethic is good, then maybe in the absolute sense it's still crappy, but relative sense you're doing great. The same like the stock markets or something. Like, if you have good companies, maybe you still lose money, but like, you're still solid. The same, like, if right now, like, if you same with magic, or like with shows, like maybe there's no magic shows going on, but you're practicing your slides, you're training about, you're reading books, you can still become a better magician, even though you cannot do magic shows. Those are only two separate things.
Yeah. And that's totally
and then connecting to what you said, like, most of us, we just started because we had a passion for it. It was not because, hey, I want to do this because I'm just going to do it for the money. So then if your goal is like, okay, I love magic, I love juggling, I just want to be a great juggler, I want to be a great magician, then you go, okay, well, doing the shows is one aspect of it. I can still accomplish that goal by being a great magician and enjoying the magic in this time, because all I need is whatever, your deck of cards, your props, like a space where you can do your thing. And then of course, it's things that you cannot not share it with people in theater shows. But then if your goal is to be a great magician, right now we're young, like in our 30s, like a lot of performers that are 50, 60, 70. And so it's a long career. Like, if you look at it like 20 years ahead, this is just going to be a period. It's going to be tough, stunk, but it's not the end of the world. It's a phase. Like, I think that's what maybe Churchill said it, like good times, bad times, they don't last forever.
That's exactly right. And that's something, when I started this whole thing up, as I've already mentioned, to help, well, actually, on that note, looks like we got some music coming in here. It means we're gonna have to take a commercial break here real quick, because it is broadcast live on WCYN. We will be right back.
Hey guys, this is Reed Masterson, and I just wanted to give a quick shout out to one of my favorite companies here in my hometown of Cynthiana, Kentucky, Printed Vinyl for You. Printed Vinyl for You is our one-stop shop when it comes to any of our custom branding needs. Whether that be our keychains, our coffee cups, our banners, our large format event posters, our stickers, our custom t-shirts, and the list goes on. So if you're like us and love to see your custom creations come to life, consider checking out our friends at Printed Vinyl for You. You can find them on the web at www.printedvinylforyou.com or follow them on Facebook at, you guessed it, Printed Vinyl for You.
And we're back to the Quarantainment Podcast. Here's your host, Reed Masterson.
What's up, guys? What's up, guys? What's up, guys? Welcome back to Quarantainment, the socially distant podcast. Super excited to have you all listen to this first episode. Man, that music's good. I like that music. That guy did a good job with this. I love it. And here we go. All right, guys. Once again, welcome back to Quarantainment. We are interviewing one of my really, really good close friends, comedy juggler, Niels Duinker. Are you still with us, Niels?
I'm still here.
All right, man. So we were talking about the whole how we didn't start out doing this, for the money, and that's kind of back to where it is now, and it's all kind of a mental thing with entertainment, coronavirus, because we already fight in the entertainment industry. We already fight a lot of entertainment is hard. Let's just put it that way. It's not, there's no rule book, there's no playbook, there's no boss to tell you what you can and can't do or what you're supposed to do. There's no 9 to 5, there's no anything, and there's way more no's than there are yeses. At least in my experience. So entertaining, in general, is not the easiest job in the world to have a career at. And then when you add coronavirus on top of it, it just in some instances makes it seem impossible. And that's prior to us starting this podcast and the Quarantainment series. That's kind of where I was. I was just like, I don't know, what I can do. I don't, there were a lot of things that I had ideas to try because I've fought other battles in the past that I had to come up with some kind of, miraculous way to get through that time. And it worked then, so I used to own a graphic design company. I had a pretty big client list. I had a office downtown Cynthiana, Kentucky. I was on the verge of bankruptcy. Let's just put it that way. Back in 2011, back in February of 2011, I was on the verge of bankruptcy. I didn't have any money and had a lot of issues going on that were external issues that I couldn't control. And every turn I made was another wall that I was hitting. So it was like nothing I could do. And at that point in time, I was like, I couldn't get an actual job because of these current situations. And I lost my car. I lost everything. So it was kind of crazy. And I was sitting here in my house and I'm like, hey, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? I have to make money, and I have to provide for people. And I just have all these responsibilities. And at that moment, I was like, well, I already do graphic design for myself. I learned graphic design to be able to design my own posters and stuff like that. So I was like, I can try and offer graphic design to the local businesses around here because there isn't another company here that, we live in a small area. There's no other company. So I did that, and, it snowballed effect, and I ended up with 180 yearly returning clients. So I had about 200 clients per year, but 180 that I kept in a list that used me for everything. So when coronavirus hit, I was like, boom, graphic design. I was like, I haven't got to do graphic design for a while, not much. I mean, I actually did some stuff for you, but I don't have the time for it anymore. I closed my shop up back in 2014, and I was like, but hey, that's easy, no big deal, because when this all started, entertainers lost first. So I lost, all of my April bookings I lost at the very, like, it was like March 1st or something like that is when I got the contact or got the emails and stuff saying, hey, all of April's gone. And I'm like, it's just now March, you know, and then I lost all of March after that. So like it was reversed, but I was like, holy moly. But at that point in time, you know, here in like Cynthiana and surrounding counties and whatever, the coronavirus hadn't affected them. You know, hadn't affected they hadn't shut down the restaurants, they hadn't shut down the bars or any of those things. But I was already losing all my work. Like, so I'm already 2 months in and I can't work. So I'm like, graphic design, these places are open. Like, all these people would love to have my services back. They ask me all the time. I can't do stuff for them. Within a week of me reaching out to people, all 180 of those clients were gone. Like, they were all out of business. Like, within a week of that happening, I was like, oh, you know, like, you know, like, so it's like, it was a huge hit. Like, I was like, oh man, I can't do graphic design. And then at that point in time, I was like, well, there's other entertainers that are still working. Cruise ships hadn't been shut down, like, at that point in time. And I was like, I can offer graphic design to other entertainers and whatever. And then boom, 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 you know, like, it was all gone. And then here we are, nothing's open and we're all shut down. And I'm like, okay, well, graphic design's not to bring in money right now. Graphic design's not going to happen. So then I went through a whole like kind of spiral of those different things. Like, oh, I could do this. Oh, nope, you can't do this. Well, I could do this. Oh, nope, never mind. You can't do that. And then I got in this big rut and I was like, I'm just done for. I don't know what I'm going to do because I have, you know, X amount of dollars per month in bills and no money, you know, which, you know, so like, and then I got in that whole idea that you were saying, you know, I got really down. I logged out of Facebook. I logged out of Instagram. I logged out of everything. I shut everything off. I didn't answer my emails. And I went into like hibernation. I didn't actually go into hibernation. I worked on bettering myself, but I was just like, forget it. I'm done with trying to figure this out right now. I need to be away from it. And I got back on my diet. I got back on my exercise regimen and started walking more. You know, I was walking, you know, 10 plus miles a day, taking my dog out for a walk, and Asher and I walking together, getting up super early. I was getting up like 4 a.m. and by 9 a.m. I'd already walked 5 miles and ate breakfast and taken a shower and read, you know, 10 pages in a book and done all these things. So I was like, I'm just going to do this. These are all things that I had been putting off. So that's how I started to work on myself in coronavirus world, because, you know, we have lost everything. So it's, I was just like, forget it. And now I'm back to where I'm trying to find a happy balance between trying to work with like this, with the podcast and variety show, and still exercising and whatnot. So I'm also mowing my yard now. And I know that's something you don't relate to, being where you're at, but like, I haven't done that in like 2 years, but I grew up like weed eating and mowing yards and stuff. And that was just normal life for me. And I haven't done that in 2 years. And I've really wanted to get back into doing that. And I've had the pleasure of doing that. And now I'm mowing my next door neighbor lady's yard too. So she's super, super sweet. Nice. And I mow her yard same time I mow mine. So it's that for whatever reason, that's really satisfying to me, because it's just something I haven't done. And I was actually talking to Sean Farquhar 2 days ago. And
nice.
For those of you who don't know, Sean's a magician. He lives in Canada. He's amazing. Sean, if you're watching this, hi, great talking to you. Thanks. But he was talking about how he was doing yard work, and he hadn't got to do yard work since he moved into like his new house. He'd lived there for X amount of years, and he'd never done anything like that because of his work schedule. So he's like, I'm just, you know, he's like, I'm financially stable because I've done my job with all of that. So he's not worried about the money right now. So he's just like, well, I'm going to mow my yard and plant some flowers and, you know, take up some trees and do all these things that he wanted to do that he didn't have the time for in the past, that he's missed out on. And that's something I've realized over this period, is that we as entertainers, we neglect ourselves. Most importantly, we neglect ourselves and what makes us happy. The things that we used to like to do, you know, things, you know, when you're in high school and stuff like that, you have hobbies, you have things, you know, magic started out as a hobby and then it turned into a career. Graphic design started out as a hobby that that helped me in my career, and then it just turned into, and then it was a career. So like everything I've ever done has just went into being a job, which makes it quote unquote less fun, unfortunately. So, but there's all these things, that you give up on because the most important part is your career, but then you realize, like how much you miss certain things. And that's something I've realized since all this has started is trying to get back to that happy medium of doing these things that don't necessarily relate to my career specifically, but help me mentally, so that I'm mentally stable enough to be able to come up with Quarantainment the series, because I wasn't mentally stable enough at that point in time. So that's where I'm at with all of that. But I guess that makes sense. It makes sense to you. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So, you mentioned something. I got a couple things that we have to go over here, but you mentioned something earlier about and I wanted to touch base on this. You mentioned something about a degree in mechanical engineering, right?
Yeah.
So like when I met you, obviously I thought that was a weird, like, first off, there's not a lot of entertainers that I know that even have degrees, and if they do, it's a degree in theater or something like that, So
Danny DeVaney went to clown college.
Well, that makes sense. That Danny DeVaney.
That's cool. That's always cool. He goes like, I don't have a degree. I never went to college. I was like, come on, you went to clown college. That's cool.
Yeah, I didn't go to college. I didn't go to any kind of college. So like, I don't have a degree in anything, but like you have a degree in mechanical engineering. And at first, when I first, met you and was talking to you, I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, but I thought it was like, when you told me that, I was like, well, he's like the kid that, mom and dad wanted him to be a doctor. So he went and got his doctor degree, but then he really wanted to be a juggler. So he ended up giving up on that and doing, juggling full time, but that's obviously not the case. So tell me more about that.
Well, so like, when I was 15, I decided I want to be a professional juggler with my friends. We did shows together, and we made a deal. So when I was 15, I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do professionally. And then I was doing like local shows, and I was like, but then I was 18. I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And then my mom was like, okay, you can do it. Like, I'm not holding you back, but like, then you're on your own. If you want to be a professional juggler, you want to be professional. Okay, cool. Then you can, pay your own bills and take care of it like any professional does. Okay, that makes sense. But so like, if you go to college, then I will support you for a couple more years. And I was like, okay. I knew I wasn't good enough back then to do professionally to the level I want to do it. Yeah. And I didn't want to be like strolling, like a strolling entertainer, like a slave for like a low end entertainment company and just send me to like all this random gigs that I didn't want to do. So I was like, okay, I was thinking, okay, mechanical engineering sounds fun. I was like, that's interesting. I like it. It was like, I like juggling more, but like, I like it. It's a movie. It's cool. I can do that as entertainment and just study and then just use the time in the evening and throughout just to get myself ready. And in 4 years' time, my show should be a lot better, and then I can do it professionally. So one time my mom gets so pissed, like I was just like, well, exams are coming up. You already, you're just practicing. When are you going to study for your exams? And I was like, well, I need to I need to think about my future first. It's like, and then I can study for my exams. And she got so pissed. And, but like now, that's what I did.
And then you use this mechanical, and you end up being able to use your mechanical engineering degree into advancing your career, actually, which is something.
Yeah, like this, it helps for multiple reasons. The same, like, it is overwhelming. So like between different markets that we work, stuff we need to do now, like the thing with the virus, like impacting everything. So to me, my entire life, my entire career looks like some big formula. So if you look at an engine, there's a lot of pieces that are moving. They'll wear out, you need to replace them, you need to maintain the machine, can increase the efficiency of the machine. So basically how I look at my career and at the juggling show, like it's a big machine. And so I use the engineering way of thinking to deal with that. So it's like, okay, marketing is one aspect of the machine. And if that's is not done well, it slows the machine down. Or maybe if my website is out of date, it's like the filter of the machine that it got dirty and need to be replaced. So my website need to be replaced. So that's the way I look at it. And then, you know, maybe if you put in the wrong oil in the machine, then everything comes to a crashing halt. And that's the virus right now. It's the wrong oil that's in the machine. So it's like, okay, like now we have this damage to the machine, and I need what, and then I just look at it. It's okay, which parts of the machine do I need to replace? Or with this wrong oil, if I put in this different parts in the machine, then I can make it another kind of machine. It still runs in a different way for another purpose, but hey, it's still going. And that's how I look at it. So, and that's too, like being on the cruise ships for 8 years, you get to learn very well that you're on your own, and that's okay because you still made it work. The agent's happy. You still got rebooked. So the world didn't end. It was very uncomfortable. There was nobody to ask for help, and you didn't have Wi-Fi because you're in the middle of the ocean and the thing went out, or everybody was on Wi-Fi, like whatever. So like you're on your own and you made it work. So that's how I feel now with this virus too. Like it is an external factor that I no influence, especially here not in the US. I cannot even vote. So it's like there are not like a lot of stuff here. Like It doesn't matter what I think about it. I have no impact on it. So, but what I can do is control myself, and that's too, like on the cruise ships I learned too, like 2 suitcases, just my shows, my clothing, and a laptop. So for so long, that's all the stuff, my personal stuff that I live with, and then some food and my jogging props and a couple books. So very minimalistic. So I was like, okay, I know that I don't need that much. So if I go for all that stuff, like okay, I practice and stuff, like doesn't cost me that much. The same like here, like it's right now, like there's no shows, so your income is a little less. But then you go, okay, all the stuff that I did for so long, it wasn't that expensive to start with, and that was okay. Right now, I just don't have the surplus weekly of money flowing in. But hey, the actual impact in my real life, it's not so much existent, because basically all the stuff that I wanted to do, I can't do it without all that money coming in.
Yeah, for sure. No, yeah, it makes total sense. It makes total sense. Well, we're actually coming a little bit close to the end here, and I wanted to make sure that I did not forget this. So we had people send in messages to ask you questions, and I wanted to get those in there before we run out of time. We're like about a 50-minute time limit with the radio station for this. So this first question here, let's do this one.
My name's Shelby from Carlisle, Kentucky, and my question is, if you were a juggling superhero, what would your superhero name be? And also, what's the hardest thing you've learned to juggle?
So Shelby from Carlisle, Kentucky wants to know if you were a juggling superhero, what would your juggling superhero name be, and what is the most difficult thing you've learned to juggle?
Well, my superhero, like everybody, joking, the first Halloween I got here a Captain America costume, so I really like Captain America. I really like the values that he stands for. So maybe Captain Juggling or something. That would be my superhero, because I like the values, and you just try to be a helpful, considerate person and stand for his things that he stands for, and that's what I try to do as well. And he can even juggle Thor's hammer, so that's pretty cool. The most difficult thing for me was the juggling cups, because I needed to design them myself, used the mechanical engineering degree for that one, learned it from Freddie Kenton, and it's very, very precise. Like even if one is a little dirty, they don't fly out so well, but I think I did pretty well. I just put so much energy into it, drove some people nuts. practiced it so much that now I hold the Guinness World Record with most cups, and it helped me to get some gigs that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
Gotcha. Yeah, I love the cups. I love the cups. That's awesome. Okay, so here's the next question. I think we have 4.
Hey there, I'm Blake from Cynthiana, Kentucky, and my question for Niels is, what's the weirdest thing you've ever juggled?
Seems like a going trend. Everybody wants to know something about what you've
Hey
juggled.
Blake, the weirdest thing, that's another hard question, because we entertainers, we're pretty weird by ourselves.
Exactly.
So some stuff that is weird for a normal person is normal to us. Like, it's like, wow, he drove the chainsaw, and they go, well, for us, I go, that's a standard idea, but like, it's pretty insane. And I did juggle a chainsaw.
Yeah, I've seen that. Okay, so let's go with our next one here. This next one. All right.
Hello, I'm Rhonda Wagers. First of all, I am very super impressed with your skill and the fact that you are an 8-time Guinness World Record holder. And my question is, how did you become interested in juggling? What has been your main inspiration with putting so many long hours into this practice? You do an awesome job.
Hey Rhonda, thanks for sending in that question. Like, part of those questions we touched base in the interview, and yeah, so what Reed said as well, like we, most of us entertainers, we start out as kids with a passion for it. And then all those lone hours that we put in, it's actually part of enjoyment for us, because we started out of interest and it was our hobby. So all those lone hours that we get to put in, we're just like, enjoying our hobby. And definitely that's part for me as well.
Yeah, I second that one. All right, here's the last question, Niels.
Other than hanging out with your awesome crew, what do you miss about being on the road?
Okay, so that is Matt Weber, and that question's obviously for me because he's part of my awesome crew.
Yeah.
And not part of yours. So Matt, other than hanging out with my awesome crew, what do I miss about being on the road? The road. I miss being on the road. I miss traveling. I miss seeing people. We've been trapped in our house pretty much since March 1st. So it's I miss just being out and seeing life. So that's my answer to that one. So other than that, Niels, I think that that about covers it. So 4 questions we had. Do you have anything you want to add? Do you have any tips and tricks for telling people how to stay positive during this negative time?
Yes. So first of all, like all the questions that I get asked, like this is how I'm dealing with it, and I understand that everybody's fighting their own battles. So first, like I consider myself super fortunate and lucky that I find enjoyment in the practicing of juggling, and also that I have been able to set myself up for a situation like this without knowing that it would be coming. So like that I sympathize very much with everybody and all the battles that they're going through, and it's everybody's fighting their own battles, and I have a lot of sympathy. And also if I can help, just to reach out to me, comedyjuggler.com. If I can, you want to call me or you want to chat or something, because this is how I've set myself up. 20 years of hard work and just dedication. Also, juggling is the thing I like most. So as long as I can do that in one form, way, shape, or another, I'm happy. And if I go to grass fields, self-isolated practice, I already have a good time. So I don't need that much. Also, very little commitment with family and stuff. So there's less stress for me on my shoulders, but not everybody's in that fortunate situation. So if I can help to lighten your mood, just give me a call.
Well, it's definitely a thing that Niels is good at doing. I can vouch for that because Niels, like I said, is a great friend, and we talk all the time, and it's been amazing to know you, man. And I really appreciate you doing this first episode with me. And
yeah, great initiative. So congrats on getting this thing live.
And I wanted to say thanks for doing the variety show. So that's
yeah, that was awesome. Thanks for producing it. That really kicked off. Because I got so comfortable at the Comedy Barn, great gig. And then, like my lifelong goal was to do my own headliner show. So just to get the opportunity to go into town where throughout the marketing we convert people that don't know me into fans, and then entertain them with a show that they never knew that juggling could be a thing as a full show. We sold them a ticket, they enjoyed it, they loved it, and even to this day. And then the county judge proclaimed like Niels Duinker Day, January 11th in Cincinnati, Kentucky. So
yeah, I
that's
don't
awesome.
even have a Reed Masterson Day in Cincinnati, Kentucky. And this is
I got a Reed Masterson coffee mug, so I got it all.
Oh man, thank you so much, Niels. I really appreciate it, buddy. Stay safe up there, and I hope we get to see each other soon and get to hang out again and get the show back on the road.
Yeah, I would like to stay in this town though. But yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. Is the idea of getting the show on the road, like
yep.
Get to perform again for live audiences. That'd be super great. So, all right, man. Well, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you, I will put some links up to your social media. You're on Instagram, you're on YouTube, you're on Facebook. You have some awesome juggling tutorials on YouTube. So I'll put links up to all of those on the screen.
Thank you.
And yeah, man, have a good day. I really appreciate it.
Cool.
Anything else you want to add before we do this?
Well, stay positive and wash your hands.
Stay positive and wash your hands. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Niels. Really appreciate it. We'll chat next time.
See ya.
All right, guys, that's it. That was Niels Duinker, super great friend of mine. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Really appreciate you all watching the first episode of Quarantainment, the socially distant podcast. My name's Reed Masterson, and I'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Quarantainment, a socially distant podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, retweet, share, comment, and anything else you can do from at least 6 feet away. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay home, and above all else, stay creative. Join us next week. Same time, same place, same host, new interviews. For more info on the entire Quarantainment series of events, visit mastersonsmagic.com.